Hello and welcome to the Brutal Iron Gym podcast, where our goal is to cut through the BS and deliver the brutal truth about topics related to health and happiness. Today's podcast is number 1679. The topic is Q&A and the title is, Why Are There So Many Cameras in My Gym? So we actually had a listener reach out to the podcast. They're a new listener and they said they just heard of the podcast through their training partner. The training partner and them kind of come together and they train haphazardly for fun, just kind of doing whatever. And recently their training partner brought in programs and was saying like, hey, I want to start to do like these workouts. And then they asked the listener to start recording their working sets. And the listener's like, this is kind of weird. Like, I don't like having a camera in a gym. I feel stupid. I'm just not used to it. And they told their gym partner, like, I don't want to have to film all your sets. Like, I feel dumb. And the gym partner said, well, it's really helpful and I'll film yours if you want. And the listener said, well, why is it so damn helpful? Like, why are we doing this? Like, everybody, like, I'm not an influencer on TikTok and whatnot. And it was very funny because I'm paraphrasing a big long paragraph, but they were very sarcastic and it was a great sense of humor in the paragraph. But in a sense, they got kind of in a discussion with their gym partner about why in the world would we film ourselves? Why are there so many damn cameras in the gym nowadays? Why can't people just lift? And why do they have to film everything? Here, it turns out their gym partner was one of my clients. So I had told my client to film a couple things and let me see what they were doing. So I work with people online. I work with some people in person. I work with people online. I have clients, actually right now I have clients all the way from Honolulu, like in Hawaii, all the way to New Zealand. So every time zone and a lot of countries and stuff in between. So love it. Absolutely love it. Super fun. But with people being so distant, filming themselves and sending me videos is extremely important. So that way I can see how they're moving and the way in which they're performing the movements. And then that helps me, improve technique. It helps me, improve their programming going forth. I can see where their weaknesses are in the movement patterns, and I can also just it helps me stay connected with everything. It's super awesome, very helpful. This listener was like, why are we doing this? And the friend, my client, told them it's going to be helpful. So they reached out and they just said, can you explain to me why my gym partner is now treating our training sessions like a movie studio? A good story, I think a story would be a good way to answer this, is my mom. I actually have helped my mom. She started lifting when she was 47. We did 3 bodybuilding shows in her 50s, and she's done over 10 powerlifting meets. She has an elite total in 2 different weight classes, like only like 1% of competitive powerlifters get an elite total. She has 2 of them. It's amazing. And she trains people at our gym, like Brutal Iron Gym. So super awesome background, tons of knowledge. And the other day she was benching, and we had competed last fall. She did great, all PRs all around. And then just life happened and some family health events and whatnot happened. So we backed off on big complex movements because she had a lot of traveling. And one of the changes we did was we backed off of barbell bench and we're just doing like some dumbbell press variations and whatnot. Now, we're working back now that our schedule's kind of calmed down and life's gotten a little bit back to whatever the normal is nowadays. We're getting back into barbell benching. And over the last 2 or 3 weeks, actually 3 weeks or so, she started saying like that she was having pain in her biceps whenever she was lowering the bar for the bench press. And that's abnormal for her. Like, we wouldn't normally have any problems with that. So I was like, well, do you think, like, why don't you do these couple drills? And I had her check to see if her lats were tight, check to see if her upper, pec major, pec minor, any of that stuff was tight. And it just, nothing seemed to be kind of raising a red flag as to what the problem could be. And I said, hey, why don't we just meet up, this Friday, and we'll go over your bench technique. Well, as soon as we started talking, it was instant. What had happened was she was trying to create tightness in her back to help with stabilization and bracing during the bench press. But unfortunately, she was also contracting her lats, like pulling her upper arm bones into her body. And then that was prohibiting them from being able to move within the full range of motion. So what was happening was she was getting a nice tight back, but she was getting too many muscles involved. And some of the muscles that were supposed to be movers were acting as stabilizers, and the body was kind of confused, and we were pulling and tugging on a lot of things. So that's why she was having pain in her biceps. She was having pain on the front side of her shoulder where the AC joint is, where your kind of collarbone connects into your shoulder. And she was having those pains, and whenever I saw her bench, I said, hey, it looks like we're flexing too many things. I said, let's grab, I grabbed a broomstick, and I had her mimic benching, pressing a broomstick, but standing up and looking in a mirror. So she was bringing the broomstick towards her chest while she was standing looking in a mirror, and what she could see was as the broomstick was coming towards her, her upper arm bones were tucking in towards her body. So they were no longer in like the best position. What was happening was as the bar was coming closer, as the broomstick was coming closer, she wanted to get tighter and tighter and tighter in her back to give herself more stabilization, more protection, just to be stronger. But it was over-involving too many muscles, and that was causing a lot of the pain that she was having. So by seeing how she was moving, it allowed us to identify that too many muscles were getting involved. We very quickly made a simple kind of cues fix. We fixed what she was thinking of, and in 15 minutes, she was back to, like, we were on the bench, we were benching, no pain whatsoever. So, awesome, quick, easy fix, very grateful, because that's the best fixes, quick, easy ones. But it was something we could solve in 15 minutes by just simply seeing how she was moving. What's challenging is when you ask anyone, and you say, hey, are you doing this correctly? Say if they're squatting correctly, but they're like, I have knee pain. I have knee pain when I squat. And I'm like, well, how's your technique? Oh, technique is good. Well, the challenging part is it's only good for what that person is aware of. It's only good for what they know. If they only know 5 things and they're doing all 5 things right, then they're going to say that it's good. But they don't know that there's a 6th, a 7th, an 8th, maybe a 9th, or 10th thing that they should also be doing. You don't know what you don't know. And this is why filming yourself can be very helpful, is people don't know what they don't know. So they think they're doing something the right way. But when you film yourself, there's kind of a couple approaches you can take. I'm going to give you 2 basic ones. One way to benefit from filming yourself is if you want to learn how to do a movement better, say squat, bench, deadlift, overhead press, whatever it might be, you're going to go on YouTube. You're going to find a teaching video, like a tutorial video or somebody where they're teaching that movement. You want to see what they say and the way they're coaching the person in the video to do it, and then watch your videos to see if you're moving in a similar way. That's very helpful. You can see where am I different than what I am seeing. That's very helpful. Now, a second layer to that is to get a coach. I know I'm a coach, so it sounds like a commercial, but throw the commercial stuff aside. I'm going to tell you this anyhow. I don't even care if you hire me, hire somebody. Because if you're super serious about this stuff and this is your life and you want to make great progress, a coach can help because they'll tell you in a faster way than what you could do by looking up a million videos. They'll know which videos are actually the right ones. So, for example, if you went like a how to bench press, you're going to find 1,000. How do you know out of the 1,000 videos who's telling you the right stuff, right? So you have to sift through them, see what the common threads are. There's a lot of work on your end. Whereas if you get a coach, they're just going to say, these are the right things, do only these things. If you get a really good coach, they'll also know how you might be different than other people. So one of my clients texted me this morning, and he trains at the same gym as another one of my clients. And he's a little more, well, not a little more, he's a lot more experienced in powerlifting. So he is helping guide the other client when they're both in person. He benches with his super big arch, feet tucked under his hips. That's how he benches. The person he's helping is a she, and she, the way she's built, she needs to bench with what's called a flat back position, feet wide and actually further away from her hips. They have about as opposite of bench press positions as you can get. But that each position works best for each person. That's where a coach helps. So my client literally texted me this morning, and what he wrote was moving so-and-so's feet. I'll just say so-and-so because they both help train other people, so I don't want to say their names. But he said, moving so-and-so's feet out on bench really seemed to improve her leg drive and ability to keep positioning. She crushed some reverse band benches today. So that's one of the exercises that she does. He also added, I love your ability to pull out technical differences in your lifters to optimize technique on the movements. And that's where a coach can help. Knowing the difference. As he said, the technical differences in your lifters. I do not coach everyone I work with to bench the same way because that would be absolutely stupid. People aren't built the same way. If a coach tells everybody they should squat with a wide stance and upright torso, horrible coach. Yep, that's gonna piss off some people probably. But your coach should not tell you to lift the exact same way as everyone else they work with. That is horrible, horrible coaching. People are built differently. They have different limb lengths. They have different body shapes. They have different hip sockets. There's a whole bunch of variation in human anatomy that there is absolutely no way that everyone should be benching the same way, squatting the same way, deadlifting the same way. There's going to be similar concepts, but how each person accomplishes the concept can look different. So that's where getting a coach can help, because when you look at videos, they'll know, rather than you having to sift through 100 videos on YouTube, they know exactly what to look at. They also then know what's best for your body type compared to someone else's body type. So there's a lot of knowledge, and it just kind of makes sense. You know, if I want to know more about something I don't know about, I should hire an expert in that area to teach me in a more efficient manner, so that way I don't have to go through the 20-year process that they went through to know what they know, right? So it makes sense that if I want to know more about this thing as fast as possible, then I should get an expert's help. There are just enormous benefits to filming yourself. Now, we have an older podcast, 1369. It's a training podcast titled Recording Videos of Your Workout. And I go through and explain it in super deep detail, and you can learn even more. So the listener, thank you for listening to this one, and unfortunately I'm going to make you listen to another one. But podcast 1369, it's a training podcast titled Recording Videos of Your Workout. You can find all of our podcasts on our website. We have a podcast player that goes back 300 episodes, and then we also have descriptions on how to find older podcasts as well. But check that out for all the deep details of why recording yourself can be extremely helpful, so that way you know that you're moving in the right way. Correct? Now, that's the idea. That is why there are so many cameras in your gym, is some of the people are filming stuff for TikTok and Instagram and whatnot to get followers and to be engaged with other people. Good. You know, like, it's fun. Like, people look for that stuff. They enjoy that stuff. Is it annoying sometimes to have somebody try to film something when you want to get around them? Probably. Absolutely. Sure. But overall, it's cool that when you want to go on YouTube and find, you know, a how to bench press video, that there are people who create that content for you. So it's cool in that way. And then also there's tons of benefits to filming yourself in the sense that, like for my mom, we were able to reduce pain. So in her biceps and front shoulder, if you're having pain in your knees, pain in your lower back when you deadlift, recording yourself and then comparing that to educational videos on YouTube is great. Or recording yourself and then letting a coach or somebody see that to give you feedback is great as well. Now, some of the downsides is if you get feedback by, say, for example, you go on social media, like there's a couple pages I'm a part of on Facebook where somebody can just post a video and they get feedback from other people. That's dangerous because the people you're getting feedback from, there's a quote, and I forget the exact quote, but I think the concept will make it through what I'm about to say, is like advice is worth what you pay for it. Meaning, if you post a video on YouTube, on Facebook or YouTube or something, and you have 10, 12 people respond with advice, I'm about to say something that's going to tick people off, and it's not always true, but I'm going to throw it out there. They had the time to watch your video, type up a big, long response for free, right? Are they doing it as a hobby? Like, if they get paid, why are they doing it for free? Like, are they busy? So, that's probably so wrong to say, but I'm unlikely, as somebody who gets paid to give advice and I know quite a bit about like how to lift correctly. I'm unlikely to go on these pages and just offer free advice all over the place willy-nilly. Number one, because I'm busy doing the stuff that I get paid for, so I don't have a lot of free time. The free time I use is to make podcasts like this. Number two is I also know that if I give advice, and so do 5 or 6 other people, that it's not going to be the best received. That person isn't going to know how my advice is any better or different than the 5 or 6 other people that post as well. So by me writing that advice, it's kind of a waste of time because I don't know if they're going to listen to it or not. They might take 3 or 4 of the other people's advice who have absolutely no clue what the hell they're talking about, or they're only telling them what worked for them. So it's like, oh, this is what I do, and this works perfectly for me. Yeah, but that might not be what's right for that person. Maybe that person has a completely different problem. It seems related, but they're actually in 2 different issues. And they just don't know. They're unaware. They don't know what they don't know, so they're going to offer advice on what's worked for them, but it might not be what's right for you. So it's challenging in the sense to where if you record your video and you go to YouTube and you watch a really highly established coach teaching how to do that video, how to do that exercise, you can compare and you can kind of come to conclusions on your own and figure out, okay, it does look like maybe my stance is too narrow. Maybe I can widen my stance and give that a try. Like you can kind of formulate and work through the information on your own and figure it out. And I think that's better quality than if you post your video and you get 17 random people giving you feedback and, it's all contradicting and people are just telling you what worked for them. It's not necessarily actually what's best for you. It's a hodgepodge of advice and it's worth what you paid for. It was free, right? Now, why is the advice on YouTube worth it? Because they're getting money for views, they're getting money for advertisements, they're getting paid to put that material out there in some way. So it's good quality material because they're getting paid to do it, if that makes somewhat sense. So I don't know if anything I just said was politically correct. I don't know if it's going to piss people off. I don't even know if it's necessarily right all the time. But that's the way I feel towards it, is getting free advice is often not very beneficial because the quality of the advice is very low. And you won't know what you don't know, so you don't know if the advice is good or bad. The person giving the advice doesn't know what they don't know, so they don't know if it's good or bad. And neither one is an expert in the area, so it's just kind of like the blind leading the blind is what ends up happening. So I think filming yourself is extremely helpful. I truly do. And that's why I have all my clients film themselves and why I watch all their videos and give them feedback every single week. It's a lot of work, but it ensures that our training programs will work towards their goals and ensures, in my opinion, that what they pay me to help them with, they actually achieve. I want to make sure I'm doing a good job. I'd rather work with a fewer amount of people and have everyone happy and making progress than to work with, hundreds of people and only 10% actually happy making progress. I'm more interested in meaningfulness in what I do rather than breadth of like trying to say, hey, I have this many people. It doesn't matter if half the people aren't even getting results. Okay, I'll get off my soapbox, but filming yourself is a good thing. I know it can be annoying for people if there's a lot of cameras in the gym. Just, if they're in your way, just ask them if they'll move. Just being communicative and being open with communication, non-confrontational, is helpful. And then I do think filming is great because you can reduce pain, you could reduce wasted efforts, you can increase your efficiency in training by just moving in a better way, getting the right muscles better involved. You're just going to overall get better results for your effort. So you're going to give the same amount of effort, but you're going to get more from it. That sounds great, right? Okay. So to learn more about that topic, if you want to deep dive into it a little bit, is podcast 1369, training podcast titled Recording Videos of Your Workout. Check that out. If you have any additional questions, always reach out. My email is brutalirongym@gmail.com. I hope that this podcast helps you. I hope it gives you all the information that you want and that you feel open to ask anything that you might want as well. Great. If you like our podcast, please share it. The more people we share it with, the more people can help. Thank you to those who donate to support the podcast financially. It is a high hosting cost every year on all the different platforms, so I appreciate the donations as they help cover some of that cost. You can donate on our website, www.brutalirongym.com. Even just $5 a month, one-time gift, $20. It all helps. It all goes to the podcast, so I greatly, greatly appreciate it. If you like the information we share in our podcast, you can find more from us on our social media channels. You can find us and please follow us on Instagram and YouTube under the name Brutal Iron Gym. As always, I hope this was helpful, and thank you for listening.